Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Monday, October 20th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Penn State game in 12 days, the game against Michigan in 40 days. If you're planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at GratefulGriddleOH.com. Ohio State back in Columbus following their 34-0 win over the Wisconsin Badgers. Now they get a week off. They won't have, of course, the full week off, but it is a chance for some of the assistant coaches to hit the road to maybe do a little bit of recruiting and for the team to kind of focus on some of the other stuff they just started to need to clean up, all that kind of stuff. We're going to hear from Ryan Day about that and a bunch of other stuff on today's show. First off, going to let him assess the passing game for Ohio State, and when you complete more than 80% of your passes and throw for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, the scoring is going to be probably pretty favorable. But here are Ryan Day's thoughts on the Ohio State passing game at Wisconsin.
I have to go back and watch the film and figure out what was good and what broke down. But as you guys could tell, we wanted to come out and throw the ball more in this game and kind of try to get a feel for where we really are in the passing game, because we know we're going to need both here down the stretch. And that's a defense that I think is a very good defense. And, they don't always get put in the best situations throughout the season. But like I said to our offense, I said, this is a defense that tackles well. They're well coached. Luke does a good job. And, I think when we broke down, it was because, we either lost focus or didn't execute all the way down the field. And a good defense is going to force you to work the ball down the field like that. They're not just going to let you, take long shots. Even when we tried to shoot the ball down the field, you can tell that, they're just backing up. And but it's good for them to feel that as well. But now that, as we throw and catch, we have to be efficiently working the ball down the field. And all it takes is one play to be off, and you find yourself off schedule. And it was good in the first drive. We came out and found ourselves in a 3rd and long and made a great throw and catch to score. And then, it's good to get a turnover early to get the rhythm going. But we'll look and see, how the run game. To me, looking at it, we left, some meat on the bone in the run game for sure. But to see us throw the ball, we did was a big step in the right direction. And I thought Julian made some really good decisions in the RPO game. I thought he checked the ball down for the most part when he needed to. And then his off-schedule plays were excellent to me. I found his checkdowns at times, but the scramble plays, like the one to Brandon, was really well done, and found a few other ones as well.
We talk about this all the time at the beginning of the season, but the week 1 team that you see is never the same team that you see at the end of the season. There's a lot of stuff that will change over the course of the year. Sometimes it's guys getting hurt. Sometimes it's guys taking on bigger roles. One of the guys who is maybe taking on a bigger role right now is Isaiah West. True freshman running back Bo Jackson didn't get any carries in the first game against Texas. Neither did West. And now Jackson is pretty clearly running back number 1 for the Buckeyes. And Isaiah West, he sure seems like he's making a run at maybe being running back number 2. So is Isaiah West really on the cusp of taking on a much bigger role for this year's team? Yeah,
I got to watch the runs on the coach's copy, but on the iPad on the sideline, 2 runs I thought were good. 1 for 7, and I forget what the other one was for, but hit him good. I just kind of like the way, and then there was 2 guys in the hole that he made miss. So good sign for a young back. So we'll kind of see what it looks like and see where we're going from here.
I think it was 14.
Yeah, I mean those are good runs, and so. We're going to look at everything and do everything we can to make sure that we're efficient and we're balanced. So.
In a game where it was pretty clear from the jump that Ohio State was a far more talented team than Wisconsin and was going to be able to win the game by more or less whatever score they wanted to, you have a lot of options. And one of those things is you have a chance to maybe spread the ball around, get some other guys involved. So you saw a lot of different guys carrying the football. You saw a lot of different guys getting the ball thrown their way. So is that just trying to get guys some stats, or is there something else behind it?
I think we're still growing, so we're still trying to build on all of this. But what we can do is what you just said, and that's hard to do sometimes because these guys work hard, and we try to do what we can to make sure that guys get touches. But when you start to focus on those things, you can find yourself way out of whack. I'm not sitting here and saying that sometimes we don't do that. We're guilty of that sometimes because, we love our guys and we want to do that, but we have to stay disciplined, and that's what goes back to being unselfish. And that's it. Guys have to, understand, and the number one goal is to win the game, but we're going to do everything we can to make sure guys get touches the best we possibly can, staying within the system and not putting our offense at risk of sputtering on a drive and not scoring a touchdown.
That Wisconsin game is one that is probably not going to be one that people are talking about 20 years from now, but if they are, the play they're going to be talking about is that first touchdown pass to Carnell Tate, the one where he got his helmet ripped off. Quite a remarkable play. And quite a remarkable story behind that play. Here's Ryan Day explaining that.
Brandon was out, so that was actually going to be Brandon in the slot. But because Brandon was out, we moved Quincy over into the boundary. We moved Carnell into the slot, which he had not run that play in practice one time. He actually ran that play against Purdue as a freshman and got a big play down the middle. And what it was we were running down the field against a coverage where what we call two Tampa or tricky, and he stuttered on the tricky player. So it was a stutter on him, and then went by him, and then Julian got pushed off his mark and had to slide, so he was a little late getting it to him. And so he threw a good ball, but it was a little bit late, and so Carnell had to come back and make a contested catch over the defender's head, and I just thought that was a really great catch. Just that's an All-American catch. And so for him to make a play like that early in the game set the tone. But yeah, I mean, those are the things, when you're trying to get it down the field, you got to find double moves. You got to try in as many ways as you can to push it down the field. But yeah, big time throw and catch.
Talked earlier about Julian Sayin's passing stats, and it is pretty hard to match those. The last quarterback to put up numbers better than that in a game, CJ Stroud. That is not bad company if you're an Ohio State quarterback. So has Ryan Day been impressed with how Julian Sayin has developed over the course of the season?
Well, I'm impressed with his preparation. I sit in those meetings with Billy and he and Lincoln, and I just the amount of information that he's processing and those guys go through in those meetings is well done. And when you see it translate to on the field, that's winning football. And so when you just can take a meeting to the field as quickly as he can and then see it and then process it. Is he perfect? No, there's things he's going to work to get better at, but man, he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Carnell Tate had 6 catches for more than 100 yards and a couple touchdowns. Jeremiah Smith, 9 catches, 97 yards against Wisconsin. Solid day for both guys. Recently, Ryan Day called Jeremiah Smith the best player in America. So how close is Carnell Tate to that conversation?
Over here to the right, Austin. Ryan, you've talked a lot in the last couple of weeks about Jeremiah and maybe being the best player in America, in your opinion. How close is Carnell in that conversation?
Well, I mean, his play speaks for itself, and the catch he made early on is tremendous. You see some of those catches he makes is on the sidelines. He's a great blocker. He is playing himself to be, first rounder and an All-American, and he's just a different style of player than Jeremiah, but just as dangerous and just as good. To see somebody who, has put the work in and, again, you heard me say before, put the dirty work in, and now he's, seeing a lot of the balls come his way, and he's seeing a lot of play. The throw and catch on the back shoulder fade, all those things are working for him, and it's great to see him, have success, with the numbers he's getting now, because this is a guy that sacrificed a lot in the past, a little bit last year, and had to, put the work in and then maybe not see the numbers and see the results, but had faith in the program and stuck in there and believed in the culture, and now you're seeing it pay off for him, and that's a great sign for everybody on the team, including the young players but at all positions.
Mentioned earlier that the Buckeyes do have a week off this week. They have next Saturday off, second off week of the season. So what are they going to be working on this week? What are some things that they're looking to improve during the week off?
Some of the run game, needs to be better, I think, but we'll go back and figure out what's going on with that. I think, we had the special teams breakdown, which we can't have happen, and that can cost you a game. And that was ridiculous. So, there are certainly areas that I won't get into because I don't want to give anybody anything to look at. But we know what our issues are, and we have to continually work on them to get them better. and then continually put guys in position to be successful, because sometimes it isn't always the issues as it is, all right, here's a strength of somebody, how do we put them in a position to go do that? And in all three phases. So that's our job as coaches. Bye week comes at a good time. We can kind of get healthy here. We know we got a big one at Penn State at home, so we'll take a couple days to catch our breath and then get back after it.
The last question for Ryan Day was about Julian Sayin's performance throwing the ball, and you are going to hear the answer to that. But also, he's also going to, just a couple minutes in or so, give everyone a little editorial note about something else we should probably be talking about.
We kept calling him, so he was doing well. I think he's accurate. He makes good decisions, and when he stays on schedule, we can move the ball right down the field. And no, I'm be shocked if he didn't grade out a champion to me. I thought he played really well in this game. But I will say we've been here for 15 minutes and really haven't talked much about the defense, who just shut the team out over here. So let's talk about the defense real quick. First off, to get the turnover early in the game was tremendous. And, we knew that they wanted to, we've seen them against some really good defenses just, run the ball. And we knew we had to stop the run in this game. And so we had, put a lot of time into that, the defensive staff and our guys. And then to get the turnover early was good on the road, because we want to be consistent. We see what happens across college football week in and week out, so we can't have letdowns. So when the defense is playing like that and creating turnovers in a short field, that helps us get a fast start. And so we just kept playing, and that was great. But one of my favorite parts of the game was the way that we ended, and that's, when guys are on the sideline and they want to, hold to the shutout, and some of the depth guys are in there, and everyone's screaming and yelling, because it isn't about the score, it's not about the results, it's about the process, and that's it. And the guys are playing for each other, and that's another good sign. So hats off to the defense again. Another shutout. I hope nobody's getting used to that, because that doesn't just happen. This is a lot of hard work that gets put in, and give the defense a ton of credit, give the staff a bunch of credit. And obviously our guys on defense played their tails off.
All right, probably fair play to Ryan Day there. Probably worth mentioning the defense a little bit in those press conferences, what with them throwing a shutout and all that. So also the Buckeye defense has given up the fewest points through their first 7 games since the 1993 Florida State Seminoles. That's pretty darn good, going back more than 30 years to a defense that did win the national championship in 1993. So definitely worth talking about that defense more. And we'll be doing that this week at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We're going to have Ross Fulton on to do the breakdowns of the Ohio State-Wisconsin game. Maybe do a little bit of a look ahead at some point this week or next week to that Ohio State-Penn State game as well. And have plenty more coverage coming for you all week long at BuckeyeHuddle.com and at YouTube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. We hope to see you there. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.